Hello. Today we're going to be talking about a relatively new biofuel called biohydrogen. So biohydrogen is a renewable energy source that uses small organisms to produce hydrogen in a closed container or apparatus. And this hydrogen can then be used as fuel for many other things as it's easily combustible and dense in energy. Transportation and storage is relatively easy because hydrogen is a gas and it generally does not produce waste. So how is it made? There's two processes by which it is made. The first one being fermentation, and this involves an acid as well as an organism that carries out only photosystem 1. It can also be carried out within dark reactions in the oxidation of NADH. And in dark reactions, oxygen is not required, and thus instead of doing regular cellular respiration, fermentation occurs. And so we have the acid here, we have water, we have light energy, and this produces hydrogen gas as well as CO2. And then here we have more hydrogen gas being created because we are oxidizing this NADH right here. Both produce hydrogen gas. The other process by which it is made is called biophotolysis, which uses photosynthesis in organisms such as microalgae and cyanobacteria. And this needs water. So we have H2O here and light energy being converted into oxygen and hydrogen gas. And the difference between fermentation and biophotolysis is that fermentation produces CO2 as an end product, while biophotolysis produces oxygen gas, which we will get to later. So the developmental status of this type of biofuel, it's not only fully functional, but researchers are working on making the yield of hydrogen even greater. In recent years, as people tend to shift more towards renewable energy, people are just using photosynthetic and fermentative processes to produce hydrogen rather than just burning fossil fuels. And researchers have also been working on developing better containers to store the hydrogen in once it's been produced by these microorganisms. But one downside to this biofuel is that plants are not the most efficient, and it can take a while to produce a significant amount of hydrogen. So you may be asking, what's the impact on the carbon footprint? So like we were talking about earlier, the fermentation process produces CO2. Certain biofuels, such as oils, generate a lot of CO2, but this amount is generally much less than fossil fuels such as petroleum and coal. And in particular, fermentation generates CO2, but biophotolysis generates virtually none. It generates oxygen as the end product, and it makes this process very sustainable as an energy source. And what is the economic impact of all of this? While the research and exploration of biohydrogen has presented economic setbacks, most of the discoveries have presented solutions that are not only sustainable, but economic. Many countries, such as India and other countries in the East, have begun to explore using biohydrogen for automobiles and public transportation, which could greatly reduce costs of having to use petroleum for cars. And it's not the most efficient at making fuel, but with research and making it more efficient, it could become a great energy source. And this picture right here is a picture of a biohydrogen supercar, which is, it could be available in countries such as the US in the year 2030. So efforts to communicate this type of renewable energy source. Many people are exploring using biohydrogen as fuel, but would much rather rely on coal and petroleum that's in supply. And this means that biohydrogen is really only a significant energy source for countries with limited access to these markets who want to use renewable energy instead of petroleum and coal. And while everyone knows about this new type of biofuel, not everyone uses it, but it's expected that in the United States and other developed countries, we'll start using these type of energy sources in a matter of years. Like that car on the previous slide is said to be, it's going to become available in the year 2030, which is just a matter of years. So by implementing biohydrogen into our daily lives, by using it to manufacture consumer goods and even run public transportation, we could cut carbon emissions significantly and save a lot of money. And this could undoubtedly be the new form of gasoline. It's only a matter of time before we use hydrogen-powered cars instead of gas cars. So this could save us a lot of money in the future. In order to reduce carbon emissions using biohydrogen, I believe that countries such as the US should introduce hydrogen cars into daily life, making them more common, combust hydrogen in the manufacturing process of consumer goods instead of coal and petroleum, and continue to research more efficient ways to make this method of production useful and feasible as an energy source. And these are my work site. Thank you.